You guys know what time it is. Welcome back, online friends, to the 3K Challenge. We're coming into this episode with me facing some savage criticism from my very serious Iran-Israel war analysis. I got a bunch of armchair generals in the comments dunking on me for being long right before the World War III nuclear winter kicks off. Lots of trash talk going on here. But you know what? Right off the top, I want to congratulate myself for correctly predicting that we would not have World War III. My assessment of the battle space was top-notch, and indeed we dropped a few bombs, which is pretty standard for the US, but then we dipped out. The war was over in one night. All you guys talking smack in the comments, you guys were wrong, and you were wrong because you forgot the golden rule. Stocks only go up. And I don't need an apology. I just need you guys to remember that the world's inertia is very strong, and when you need to place a bet, always wager that nothing ever happens. But not to give myself too much credit, although I am as bullish as you can get, I am not printing stacks because I am still trading like a coward. How is it that I correctly predicted the end of a Middle Eastern conflict and only made like $300? It is simply not enough, and I need to trade with more swag. However, I firmly reject accusations that I'm using the TLS strategy, as I have now secured enough money for another round of Crab Rangoon. But these small gains pale in comparison to my aspirations, and I want to feast on Rangoon. It's time to step up. Today is Monday, June 30th, and my account sits at about $13,550. I've gone through some reflection, and I decided on my next two plays. I am going to trade with a little more sauce than some janky, inefficient wheel strategy. The first up is SOFI. We all know this one, it's like the junior varsity version of Robinhood. But whether you like this company or not, you've got to admit that it's got its fingers in a lot of pies, and its revenue and profitability is increasing. It's pretty richly valued, I'll admit, but as a little bit of a meme stock, a little bit of a value play, it's got potential to get that Momo energy and rip higher. And it's already starting to show some life at 1862, which was a good year. So I'm going to first buy long calls expiring in a few months. I'll flip to the October expiration and buy out of the money calls at the $20 strike. These are trading for about $200 each. So I'm going to pick up 5 of them for $1,000 total. Then in the same trade, I'm going to sell calls expiring this Thursday for some minor gains. I'll sell the $21 and $20 strikes for a meager $5 and $12 respectively. So I'm putting up $1,000 into long calls, and I'm selling 3 $21 calls for $5 each and 2 $20 calls for $12 each. That'll put the price of this option at about $940 to enter. This is not a properly structured diagonal and calendar spread. This is not a volatility-based data gang trade. This is me speculating that SOFI will catch some wind and take off higher, but that it will not reach $20 this week specifically. What I want to see happen is that SOFI slowly rises up for a bit, and I can sell some out-of-the-money calls along the way to pull premium. And then when SOFI gets to above $20, I'll ditch the long calls and keep the gain. Technically, this is a poor man's covered call, just a really aggressive one. This leaves me with about $2,000 of buying power left. I'm going to use it to take on a position in OSCR Health, ticker OSCR. I'm not even in front with you guys. I'm not really sure what this company does because I'm not familiar with the healthcare space. But it sounds like they're doing a great job of whatever health insurance thing they're working, but people are concerned that the politics of the Republican Party will impact this company's customers because of the Affordable Care Act. In other words, if Obamacare is canceled, OSCR will take a hit. That sounds reasonable with the big beautiful bill on the table. But people are missing a very important detail. The co-founder and vice chairman of OSCR Health is Joshua Kushner, the brother of Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner is married to Ivanka Trump, who is Donald Trump's favorite child. That makes Joshua Kushner the brother-in-law of Donald Trump's favorite child, and the brother of his former senior advisor. Whatever fear people have of legislation boxing OSCR out of its customer base is entirely unfounded. No legislative activity will ever hurt Mango's family, however extended. Once you take that legislative aspect out of the equation, OSCR is a screaming buy. I'm going to long this one just like I did SOFI. OSCR is trading for a little under $21. I'm going to open to the October expiration and open a higher delta strike than I did on SOFI. I'll go long the $20 call for about $440, and then I'll sell this Thursday's $22 call for $40. This will make this diagonal spread cost about $400, and I'll get filled right away here. My plan will be to sell these out-of-the-money short calls against the long call and pull premium along the way that I can use to buy shares and Crab Rangoon. This is a little closer to a traditional calendar spread, but it's still very speculative. I need Oscar to march higher or I will take a loss. And SOFI, on the other hand, is very speculative. I'll take some profit from short calls along the way regardless of what happens. But I am very long delta now, and a pullback would be devastating. With all that said, I'm not worried, and I have faith that this market rally will continue. I've still got around $1,500 of buying power for dips in case I'm wrong. I'll check back in later in the week. Wait, stop, I almost forgot to get paid. Moomoo's free share promotion just got even bigger. As before, new users can get up to 60 free shares just by making a deposit and holding the balance until the shares vest. But additionally, Moomoo added a $10,000 deposit tier. If you drop in $10,000 of cash or ACAT over $10,000 of stock, you'll be eligible for 60 free shares, 8.1% APY for 3 months, and 2 sweet tickets to the Mets at Citi Field. That's a pretty unique offer, and I'm going to scoop up some sweet tickets for myself. Who knows, maybe I'll even see you guys there. If you're going for it, keep the balance as cash so you don't drop below the threshold before the shares unlock, and you'll collect that very nice 8.1% APY in the meantime. Use my link in the description so my children don't starve. And now, let's get back to the action. And by action, I mean getting absolutely destroyed. It's Wednesday morning, and this is all my fault. I'm sorry, Oscar shareholders. I bought calls, so the 17% drop is on me. Some people are saying that this drop is because another healthcare company called Centene suspended its guidance, and so all healthcare stocks are tanking in sympathy. I'm not buying that explanation. I think it's because the big beautiful bill just passed the Senate and it's about to sit on Cheeto's desk when the House is done reconciling. The bill does some damage to Medicaid, which doesn't really affect Oscar, but more importantly, there's no evidence that Congress is going to extend the Affordable Care Act tax subsidies that Oscar depends on. Apparently, the CFO is trying to downplay this problem, but I'm not convinced. Without getting government tax subsidies for poor people health insurance policies, Oscar has an unviable business model. It's starting to look like the entire company is just an off-ramp for government funds. I still have some faith that this will change, and maybe these tax benefits will get extended so that this scheme can continue rather than expiring at the end of this year. But I've largely changed my mind on this one, and I'm glad I only put $400 in. I'm a little afraid to check Moomoo because this position is going to be destroyed. But I gotta do it. I'm down 45%. My long call was worth $440 yesterday, and now it's about half of that. SOFI is not doing much better. And worst of all, I lost my next Crab Rangoon since I'm down below 13,400. Terrible. TLS is rearing its ugly head once again, and I've again dishonored myself. I'm not really sure what to do at the moment. Something about dead cats could bring this back, and I do have until October, so I don't know what to do right now. I gotta log off and reflect. I'll check back again later. We're wrapping up the week on Thursday afternoon because tomorrow is Ungrateful Colonists Day, and I would like to hand deliver this L to the King of England for losing a guerrilla war to a bunch of backwater farmers, and then hand the king an additional L for conquering half the world and still having the worst food on planet Earth. That aside, the market closed early today, so here's where I stand at the end of the week. I'm pretty sure Oscar is completely cooked. Everything is up today except for Oscar Health. I remain unconvinced by the Oscar board claiming that they've already adjusted to the ACA enhanced subsidies going away, and I don't think the company will exist in 2027. This has been a horrific trade, but still, I'm at 13,475 due to SOFI having a strong finish. If I were to close out now, I would be qualified for my second round of Crab Rangoon, but since my long calls are still open, I mustn't indulge just yet. My positions at expiration are a good example of what PMCCs look like. That's poor man's covered call. I've got the big loss on my Oscar long call, which has me down $180, but the call that I sold will expire worthless, which will be a $40 gain. So my total loss once the options settle will be about $140. Now with Oscar $3 below my strike, can I still sell more out-of-the-money covered calls next week? If Robinhood is to be believed, the $20 calls are selling for about $15. So do I want to hold the remaining $220 worth of Oscar calls for a $15 a week gain? Do I think Oscar stock will go up so I can recover my losses on the long call? Twitter is really bullish on this. People are showing cult-like behavior. There's an us versus them mentality. I don't like what I'm seeing. I think Shwilly B is right. I think FinTwit is going to try to pump this stock because a lot of people are in the red and want the stock to go up so they can sell it. They're deceiving themselves into believing what they want to believe. They want other people to buy shares so the stock price goes up so they themselves can sell it. This is a clear sign of a pump and dump that has already done its thing. I'm not planning on holding my call through next week. I might even short Oscar since I think this company is completely hosed. Maybe I'll get lucky and there will be a dead cat bounce on Monday so I can close with a smaller loss. But right now, I'm just expecting a good $150 loss here. That's almost an entire crab rangoon out the window. SOFI, meanwhile, is not too bad. I'm down $25 total because the gains on the short calls weren't enough to compensate for the losses on the long calls. But the stock is only down 20 cents from my buy price, and unlike Oscar, I think SOFI is actually a valid company even if it's losing the race against Robinhood. I'll sell out of the money calls next week with my long calls as collateral. So Oscar's wrapping up, SOFI will continue, and I'm going to have about $1,600 cash that I can mess around with. I'll carry all that into next week. Inshallah, I'll see some good returns next week so I can close out my positions and use the gains for Crab Rangoon. Happy 4th of July, and I'll see you guys next time.